As soon as we had the idea, as soon as we started writing on that whiteboard, like since that moment, it's been like nearly 24/7.
No way.
Yeah, so we sold out on day 40.
Go dummy, go beast, oh no. I go beast, go deep, I OD, oh no. I OD, apply pressure, put heat.
Okay, so y'all meet in college. You decide that what? Decide that what? So we got Jordan now. What happens from that moment where you guys get together and you're like, let's make an NFT project? No, what happened?
Yeah, so that was like a couple of years ago, right?
Sorry,
when we met. And
before we go down this vein, real quick, because we're talking about high school. Mm-hmm. We kind of got the
college
snapshot college, right?
Yeah.
Did y'all have any like hustle that was a fun story that kind of like, here's my example. Junior prom, like tell a fun one, okay? Like junior prom, we're waiting for our dates. Mm-hmm. And like this is what you tell your kids. My kids always like, Dad, tell the junior prom story. Mm-hmm. We're standing there and this guy pulls up and gets out of his car and throws me the keys. I'm in a tux. It's junior prom. Like, I don't know, this guy's an idiot. He thought I was valet.
Yeah.
And it was like a Benz. So I'm like, okay. And I was trying to joke off for my friends. Mm-hmm. So I get in the car and I'm like, and I start driving. And I'm like, where am I going to take this car?
Yeah.
So I just parked it on the football field. I put the keys on the seat and I ran back and I'm like, guys, I forgot. I told the guy, I'm like, $20 because it's expensive, but he gave me $200 bill and I'm like, game over. So I got in the car, parked it on the football field, ran back and I'm like, okay, you go to the dollar store. We bought little like yellow tickets or not tickets, stickers, the little circle stickers. So as soon as the car came up, we just stuck it right on the windshield. We're mandatory valet.
Yeah.
$20. So we did that all, our date show pulled up. We didn't even go to the dance at all. We ended up between four of us. We all made $6K parking onto the football field. Oh yeah.
This during prom?
During junior prom.
Junior prom.
Yes.
Oh wow.
Classic. Like it's still talked about to this day. It's like epic.
Yeah.
So that was like what we did, like 3 or 4 like big pranks like that, but we all walked away with some cash, right?
Yeah.
So what was some of those pranks, y'all, the hustles you did? Because if you're an entrepreneur, you had something you did beforehand.
I guess this is like a little different from, valeting cars, but
No, it's the hustle. It's the hustle mentality.
So
it's like the content.
The demand in college for those nicotine sticks was very high.
Okay.
And so we came up with this great idea. We created a social media account. We created a Snapchat account. And we basically called it Lopes Puffs. and essentially we went to the smoke shop and we're like, hey, how much for a bulk of nicotine sticks, right? And they're like, they gave us the price and everything. And so we ended up buying like 3 or 4 boxes. And we literally like hired like college students to just sell them to people at the school. Like,
awesome. I was literally, so basically, we had made like a good connection with the guy who owned that smoke shop. Like I still, whenever I go back to Arizona, I always come in, I'm like, what's up, man? Cause like we would come in and just buy out his stock. I would hit him up and be like, yo, how many do you have? And we would just come in and buy all of them. And then basically we would take them back to the school, and I basically made a Snapchat account, and like the one you're talking about, Lopes Puffs, and I basically just quick added like 1,000 people. Like I was just sitting there, just cracked out, like just doing that all day. And then basically we got like a ton of people to add us, and we just started posting, yo, we got these, $15. Like we're just like selling them for like triple, right, that we were getting them. And then eventually the demand was just so high that we had to like create like a supply chain to where like basically we would all go and pick them up, after our classes.
Skateboards.
Yeah.
And everyone.
We're delivering.
Like, we'd be in class and we'd be like, hey, someone needs one here. Our people would just go and deliver. But I totally forgot what we did before that. The reason why we were able to build the social media for the nicotine sticks was because we threw parties. So we also had an Instagram page. It was called, what was it?
It was Drunken Lopes.
Drunken Lopes, yeah. And so we ended up following everyone that our school did, our Instagram page that our school runs. And we followed every single person, as many people as we can, as Instagram would allow us. And we had this whole idea, we're like, okay, we can rent out an Airbnb, or we can rent out, an event space. I mean, essentially we'll throw on like at least 2 times a month. And so as we're setting this up, we're kind of figuring out like the team and, who's a part of it, who's getting, I guess like the alcohol, who's renting out the space, who's getting the security guards.
Now, are any of these people still with you?
Yeah. Yeah, so Carrington was one of them.
Okay. Most of our like actual squad from GCU is still here. Like so, like me,
actually here at the Airbnb, most of them.
Carrington, Morgan, he's at the Airbnb right now. Who else is still here? It's Sam. Basically, was there for a lot of it.
Yeah. Sam didn't go to he didn't go to our school. He didn't go to college. But during the pandemic, we had to basically got like shut down. We all received a text saying, or an email saying, hey, due to coronavirus and the pandemic happening, you know, if you want to leave school, then you guys can go ahead and, you know, leave school. And so within, you know, 2 days, everyone's packing everything. Everyone's leaving the school. Long story short, there's only like 200 people at Grand Canyon University. And we're one of those 200 people. And that's when Sam, our filmer, ended up coming down, and we filmed like a little short documentary. We just felt like it'd be kind of cool. And we were there for like a month, and that's when we kind of all really like got to know each other. Because, you know, we're just stuck quarantined together, basically. We're like, dang, like we can't go back home because, you know, we're all here. Sure. And like we don't want to get our family sick, you know, so we're just like, we'll just stay here until we're all good.
And is this the incubation process for Junior Punks?
No. So
this was still like a couple of years ago. Yeah. So it was basically how we met. We started hustling together, doing other things.
So at what point though did you? So let's jump to that part.
Yeah.
So
Junior
at what
Punks,
point? What gave you guys the confidence and the desire to want to do an NFT? When did you hear about NFTs? And then what was like, hey, this will work? Like, what made you guys decide to want to go do that?
So we had saw my brother. He was doing like the marketing and stuff for one of an NFT project, and it went absolutely crazy. And just seeing it all go down and unfold.
Which one was that?
That was Angry Apes United.
Angry Apes.
Okay. Yeah, Angry Apes United. And so as all this was happening, you know, we start like teaching ourselves. We're like, okay, so, you know, you buy an NFT, you know, NFT means a non-fungible token. We're like, okay, it's on the blockchain, you know, Ethereum. And we started just gathering all the information we needed, and then we just started flipping.
Okay. Basically, we were using our social medias essentially. We would reach out to projects and we'd be like, hey, like we'll post for you if you put us on the whitelist or if you send us an NFT. And like 99% of the time, they're all like, yeah, bet, like that's easy. You know what I mean, right? And so they would put us on the whitelist. We'd buy up a bunch on the whitelist sale, and then usually like sell them before reveal. There were some projects where like if we actually did have faith in them long term, we would just hold them because like, you know, there are a lot of projects like that. But honestly, most NFT projects that come out are pretty like there's pumps. You know what I mean? Like people are just kind of like they're trying to build up a lot of hype. Just kind of pump it right away, and then like you don't see anything from the roadmap for like months and months, and so I'm kind of like, I don't really want to wait months and months, right? And so basically, we were just like we did a lot of projects. We made a group chat with like me, him, and a couple of other friends, and so basically we were just learning like in our free like all day. All we were doing was just like researching NFTs, looking at new projects, like just analyzing pretty much every project, just because we wanted to get good at making money in NFTs. And then, so basically after we've been doing that for a while, me and him, we went on a trip up to Big Bear, and like it was just supposed to be fun.
Yeah, we're supposed to go up there and just, you know, chill, have fun, you know, let loose a little bit. And, you know, everyone sends in like, yo, this is the next NFT. I think it's going to do good. You know, you guys should get on the whitelist. And so other Joey sends us a text saying, hey, hop on this NFT project. You know, it's a stealth drop. And so we had ended up buying like five or six NFTs from this stealth drop. It was actually, it was Lil Baby Cool Cats. It was a derivative basically. And so we buy it and we list it for sale, and immediately, you know, right when we got to the Big Bear cabin, they all sold. And we flipped like, I think we made like 3,000 on the way up, and this is like 2-hour drive. And we're chilling up there, and Joey goes, hey, John, like, you think we can drop an NFT project? Like, we can do this. And I was like, yeah, I think we can do this. And he's like, all right, let's do it. And so immediately we go down to the whiteboard, and we just start jotting down ideas, just jotting down a whole bunch of these. We're like, okay, who we need? You know, what type of team are we looking for? You know, who will be, you know, the marketer, who's going to be promoting, what type of pages, you know, who is going to be involved in this NFT project. And at first it was going to be very, very small. We're only looking to just, you know, sell it for, I think it was like 0.05.
No, it was like 0.02. We were like, basically we were trying to make it, like we were almost just basically trying to replicate that Lil Baby Cool Cats project. Like our project originally was called Lil Baby Punks. And then like literally like a week into us building out the project and everything, a project named Lil Baby Punks dropped, and we're like, all right, like I'm on a call with him. I'm like, bro, you see that, man? I'm like, what are we gonna do? And then we just changed the name, and honestly, our name now is way better. I like Junior Punks is way better than Lil Baby Punks, but basically we were like, okay, we were like, our original plan was just to make it really small drop. And then right when it drops, you know, we just like put out a bunch of social media buzz, like, yo, hop on this. They just stealth dropped, you know, and like it would be like, you know, some quick, you know, like a quick cash, you know what I mean? But then as we got into it and we started doing it, we were like, man, like we could do this. And we're like, man, and then all of a sudden our creativity just went wild. And we were like, man, we're making this like our thing, you know what I mean? And that's when basically we started drawing out way more structure. And that was basically just from the people that we met, right? Like along the road as we're building this, we're talking and meeting with more people in the NFT space, and they're kind of giving us like, you know, their opinions and like what they've learned and like tips and stuff, right? And we're like, man, we could do this. Like why spend our time doing this if we could just make it 10 times bigger and make it long term and like set us up, especially with like where the current NFT community is. Like opportunities like this aren't going to last super long. Like as you guys probably know, like NFTs, like you can't just drop artwork anymore. You know, it really has to be really focused on the utility. And so we were like, man, we just got to make a utility one, you know?
And I think that's one of the main reasons why we wanted to show our face. Because essentially, you know, a lot of projects, they don't show their face. You don't know the founders. It's kind of, they drop the project and, you know, everyone's like, yo, like, who's the owners and what's happening with the roadmap. I'm not really, like, informed about the whole idea of this project of, you know, the long-term longevity of it. But we're like, yo, like, let's just plaster our whole face on this because our only
objective.
Yeah, our only objective was basically just to, you know, show everybody, like, look, this is who we are. If you guys have any questions, if you guys need to know anything, if you guys need to contact us, if you guys have ideas about this project, like, let us know so we can make this happen.
So you're talking about making raving fans.
Yeah, and
great
like
customer service.
Yeah, and I feel like this, you know, the community that we built and we have currently is like, it's a family.
Yep.
You know, like everyone in there, like I see people, hey, good morning. Like, how you doing? How's work? You know, like just talking to each other. I'm just like, yo, like this is really, really cool.
Or people miss each other.
Yeah.
I literally shout out to the family. Like I'll have, I kid you not, 10, and the family does DM each other. Mm-hmm. That's another thing that's interesting. But I'll have 10, like, hey, B.Holmes, you hopping back on? Where you at, dude? And I'm like, I got 3 companies I'm running. What are you
I miss you in the chat sometimes, man. I'm like, I'm in the drone chat. I'm like, man, I haven't seen B.Holmes in here for a while. I'm like, he's texting me, but I don't see him in the Discord. But yeah, shout out Dolce. Nuts. Shout out Blackout, man. Dempsey. Shout out Absent, Dempsey. Huge shout out to Dempsey. NFT Nomad, Pickles.
Oh, Pickles. That's my
Pickles.
boy.
So Pickles actually, listen, so I put out a little fun thing to get, because
I want to make him a community mod.
Yeah, no, for real.
Yeah,
no.
He's like,
we're making him a real mod though.
So I put that out there. I said, dude, who made you a mod? And he was like, dude, I'd love to be a mod. And I was like, okay. So I was talking to Lightning, and I'm like, dude, he wants to be a mod. He's like, I think he's going to be a mod. So it like happened. Yeah. The other thing was OTG wants to be involved in the, y'all hear this? He wants to be involved in the Give Back project. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of like what he does anyway. Okay. So what my point is that there's a lot of people involved in the community that all come from different spaces. Like, y'all know that Pickles is an accountant?
Yeah.
That's his thing.
He's an accountant, but he's a huge, he loves shoes. He loves the Nelk Boys and Full Send. You know, I was like, man, this is perfect. I'm like, yeah, no, Pickles is super cool. I've been on calls with him and stuff because, like I said, we're going to make my mod, so.
That'd be dope. But you get a pull from all these different people and their skill sets to make an actual business. Yeah. It's crazy. Yeah. It's crazy. No, this guy connects with this gal in the chat. You guys turned into a dating app.
Tea right now, B.Holmes spilling the tea.
Dude, I'm just reading the reading the thing.
We might need to make a new channel for this.
Dude, it was crazy. But he he was saying, man, when you're not there, we need somebody to pump it up. And so I was like, hey, all right, let's do something positive. Yeah. Let's go and listen to this, go read a book, send me a report. I'll give you $50 of ETH, whatever, right? Mm-hmm. So Pickles does it. Pickles actually emailed me a summary on another like book and a podcast. Yeah. Like to get people to think and push them to become better human beings. And people want to do it. They actually want it. And it's just fascinating to me. Like it was cool. Yeah. It was cool. That's super cool. It's like, hey, when you're not here, I miss you. And it was like, you miss me? People in my own business don't tell me they miss me.
It's a real family. Right? It's a real family, crazy? Man.
So what do you think's been the difference maker in, because I've got 5 other projects that I have, 4 to 5 NFTs but it doesn't feel like that why.
So I think a lot of it was like we were talking about how heavily our faces are on it and how connected we as the founders are to the community, right? You know, and that started with like we did an AMA when we had like when we first started Discord, there were 6 people in it, 6 people, and they were like just our friends. And we were like, guys, just come up and ask us practice questions, right?
Yeah.
And we just kept doing them every single day, you know, and basically that gave us like a lot of really good connection to the community. They got to hear our voices every day. We were there telling them exactly what's going on. Like we're obviously like, we're not scared to have people come up and ask us difficult questions because we know the answer, you know what I mean? Like we want to answer the community's questions. We want to make sure everybody's crystal clear on what's going down. And I think that's what really also paired with like the positive energy. Like we were huge focus on bringing a positive energy in the AMAs when we're talking to people. Like we're really big on like the energies and stuff like that. And so I think that's what really made the difference. Plus things like the baby doll challenge where
that was my favorite part.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Yeah,
So if I didn't know about it, what did you guys do exactly?
So the way we came up with that idea was
my Frank opinion.
Yeah.
Frank.
Oh, it was him?
Frank, yeah.
Oh,
Shout out Frank, bro. Frank dog, man.
So the way we came up with the baby bottle or the baby doll challenge, when we were coming down the Big Bear Mountain, me and Joey were just talking about all the ideas. So many ideas were just flooding into our head. We're like, we can do this. We can have this person on. You know, this would be really, really cool. And I wanted to figure out a way to bring the community together, but like physically, you know, make them, you know, actually really get involved, you know, really be attached to this project.
When did this happen in the timeline? So sorry, because it's important for the big picture. For guys like me who jumped in right after or during this project, I didn't get involved in the baby project.
Yeah.
I watched it and I was like, wow, that was a good turnout. But that was so in the timeline of things. So y'all do the Big Bear, whiteboard, ideas.
Yeah, so everything started happening like really, really quick.
When?
So
as soon as we had the idea, as soon as we started writing on that whiteboard, like since that moment, it's been like nearly 24/7.
When was that?
So that was I think it's 44 days now. Today's day 44.
No way.
Yeah, so we sold out on day 40. Like that was when the full sellout happened, was on day 40.
That's crazy. If for those of you that don't understand what that means, that was like a record. Like the amount from whitelist sales to sellout was one of the top 10 projects, if I'm remembering the stat right. I don't know the stat, but that was insanity.
Yeah.
Like it was crazy. So when was the whiteboard project? So 40 days ago from that day?
44 days ago now was when we started writing on the whiteboard, right? And then, and so 40 days later was when we sold out, and that was 4 days ago now, right? It feels like longer ago, honestly. Might be day 45 today, I don't know. But yeah, so that was basically, we did, like, it's literally because me and him, like, I think me and John are both pretty, like, obsessive and, like, one-track minded. So, like, when we have an idea that we want to do, we're, like, and we're passionate about it, it's the only thing we can think about, you know, like, we're consumed by it. And so, basically, that's what happened. And since, like, me and him also kind of had the same energy going into it, like, we were both, like, had the same amount of just, like, commitment and energy and passion about it.
And I think a lot of, a really big part, Josh, my brother, you know, he really...
How involved has he been?
Very involved. Yeah.
Hey, Josh, get in here. Can't do this without you. Let's have
Josh King Madrid.
Let's do it.
AKA Jet Set Fly.
Where we at? What I was saying was Josh was a very, very big help when it came to this project. He gave us a lot of clarity, a lot of insight on how to really, you know, go about it and introduce us to the right people, as well as just certain knowledge and just everything, you know, he gave us. We just used it and ran with it. And he was, you know, there by our side, just kind of just running it up with us.
Perfect. So they gave us a background, and we were talking about now where Junior Punks was taken off in the first 40 days, right? And how much of an influence you had on them. So what I'd like to do before we have you land that jet set right on top of that conversation is take us back, man. You're coming in, and we're totally fine to just kind of have you start from the beginning. Give me like a story or a situation in your life that really set the tone for you being an entrepreneur growing up. Like what made you know, like, I'm a salesman. This is my thing. I'm a marketer. Like one story that kind of give the people like what they want.
Yeah, man. So for me personally, I remember I was like 7 years old. I was in second grade, and every single kid at my school was wearing Vans. The Vans shoes was like the shit, right? Everybody had it. Everybody was skateboarding. And man, I wanted a pair of Vans like really bad. Like, you know, they were just, you know, they had the checkers, and, you know, they're so dope, man.
The black and white ones?
Yeah, and, you know, for me, I was always wearing, like, you know, like these shoes from Payless, right, you know? And so when I'm seeing all my friends wear Vans, I'm like, yo, I got to get me some of those. You know, like, those are the skater, you know, shoes, and I want to be a skater. And so we're at the mall, I'm with my dad, and we walk by the Vans store, and I'm like, yo, can we go look? And he's like, yeah, sure, we can go look. I see these pair of Vans. I fall, like, just in love with them, right? I'm like, yo, like, can you get them for me? And he's like, yo, if you want these shoes, you're going to have to buy them with your own money. And I'm like, you know, so I look at the price, and I'm like, yo, these are like $45, like, you know, I'm like $7, like, you know, how am I going to get freaking $45? Like, that's crazy. And I'm like, yo, like, can you just please buy me some? Like, you know, all my friends have some, you know, and I know their parents bought it for them. Like, you know, they didn't pay $45 because, you know, obviously nobody has $45 at 7 years old. And he's like, nope. And so he's like, it's time to leave. We got to go. And I'm like, yo, like, I'm bummed. I'm like, yo, like, I thought I could probably convince him, like, you know, like, please, Dad, like, you know, I thought I could convince him.
Give me the Vans, Dad.
Right?
Give me the Vans.
And he's like, here's what we'll do. He's like, I'm gonna give you a loan. It was like $30 or something. He's like, I'm gonna give you a loan for $30. He's like, you have to pay me back. He's like, we're gonna go on this website. I think at the time it was like maybe AliExpress, Alibaba, DHgate, something.
Oh, you know, DHgate,
whatever it was.
DHgate,
way long ago. And he's like, you're gonna buy these beanies because it was kind of like around Christmas time. It's getting cold. Everyone's starting like to wear like jackets and wear like beanies and stuff like that. And he's like, you know, you can choose beanies. You can buy these beanies in wholesale.
Beanies is in like hoodies, like the hats.
Like little beanies, yeah.
The hats,
little beanies,
okay.
yeah. And they're the ones that were actually like hats. So like the beanies that had like the little like hat bill.
Oh yeah, cool.
Yeah. And he's like, and then you can go sell these to kids at your school, and then pay me back, and then, you know, hopefully you have enough to buy the shoes. And I'm like, all right, for sure. So he orders the beanies. He gives me the loan, or, you know, he just orders it for me, but it's my loan, right? I get the beanies. I think at first they were all black. They had like the little bill, and I'm wearing it to school. And I think I gave one to like one of my teachers or something like that. And like my teacher was like wearing it, and then I started telling all the kids at my school, like, and also when kids' parents went to pick them up from my daycare, I was telling them like, yo, like, you got to get one of these beanies. Like, all the other kids are wearing these beanies. Like, you know, these are like, you know, the best beanies. Even the teacher's wearing one. You know, like, I was just literally, yeah. And so and then literally, I tell kids, and, you know, when kids start seeing one guy, two guys, three guys wearing a beanie, they're like, yo, like, I want a beanie. Like, you know, because it's like everybody in the class is wearing it. I don't want to be the only one who doesn't have it. And so now everybody wanted a beanie, but they didn't have like $5, right? I was charging like $5. So they had to convince their parents to give them $5. So I had to convince them to convince their parents to give them $5, right? And so these kids would literally be like, can you come help me? Like, can you talk to my parents real quick and, like, you know, help me convince them? And so they'd be like, you're like, Mom, you know, this is like Josh is the one I told you who has like the beanies. You know, he sells them, you know, and I really want one. Everybody has one. I'm like, yeah, you know, and I start breaking it down and stuff like that. Like, it's only $5, you know, da-da-da. Everybody's wearing it, you know, it's getting cold. And the parents, you know, parents are like, oh yeah, you know, I want to support, you know. And so they give me the $5, give the kid the beanie, sold them all out. And I think I had like literally just like $40. And like, you know, like taxes and everything, the shoes came out to like, you know, like 47 or something. So my dad was like, all right, I'll cover, you know, we went back to the Vans store, like, you know, a couple of weeks later. So I'll cover the other $7, but he's like, but you owe me. So he's like, so I'm going to give you another loan. You're going to get more beanies and you're going to do this again. And so I kept doing that. And fast forward, so that was in second grade. I was 7 years old. Fast forward in third grade, I did the same thing. I sold, like, I bought touch cases. I sold shirts. Yeah. I went to like the, what store is it?
TJ Maxx.
Like Michael's. And I used to, this is before the NFT craze, yo. I used to create these little digital, like, figures. Imagine like an NFT, right? Like a crypto punk or like a freaking, like, they were little characters. And I would create characters that looked like kids in my school, right? And then I would print them out on this kind of like sticky paper, and I'd iron them on the shirt. And then I would go to school and I would sell kids this custom shirt of like a digital character that looked like them for like $15, $20. So I did that. I sold shutter shades, like when Kanye had those like shutter shades. Right. And so pretty much any time there was like something trending from second grade up to literally pretty much high school, I sold it. Silver chains. I was buying like silver plated chains in
I remember that.
ninth grade for like $2 a piece. Selling them to kids at my school for like $80. $80, you know? So I was making like a couple $1,000s a month. You know, I'm freaking 15, bro. You know,
okay, so young hustler, hustler, shoes, chains, beanies, kids, parents, preschool, all the way to high school. So we know who we're dealing with. We know that, I mean, I'm with you. Me and my brother, he's the COO now of this business. But we went and got my mom's like all her canned goods and put it in a wagon, and we went door to door selling like Campbell's soup in a wagon. Yeah. We didn't pay. My mom, she was nice, but she didn't charge us for any of the material at that point. But then I got a taste for money and then got a paper out because I had a pair of shoes. They were the Concord J's, the 11s, the Concords, the black patent leather. I got a paper out just to go get those shoes. So this is who we're dealing with. Purebred entrepreneur, thoroughbred, I call him. So when did the NFTs thing start for you? What was that? When did you kind of have this aha moment that this NFT thing was going to be a thing?
Yeah, so for me, my whole expertise is really just marketing in itself. You know, like
so what'd you do before that then?
Pretty much just marketing for anything. So e-commerce, I got like a big start in e-commerce. Affiliate marketing, I've like trained affiliates with like software companies and like, you know, teaching people how to pretty much like kind of what I'm doing for like NFTs and like marketing and stuff like that. I'll teach people how to do that, but how to sell my own software.
Okay, here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna ask you this. We're gonna do this after. Okay. Because I want to get you. I want you to have this content because this is gonna be money. So let's have you dubbed because there's so much here. You've got such a. I mean, you're amazing, bro. I looked at your stuff. You're legit. I want to get this out because this will be valuable. So let's dovetail on this. When did you see their project was going to be valuable, and what kind of help did you want to give these guys? Like, what point were you like, okay, I want to invest my time with you because we're dealing with the guy that knows what he's doing. Now, when did you say, hey, I want to reach out and help?
Yeah, bro. So it's funny. So I first was working with another project, and I was doing the marketing for them. And within like 5 days of me coming on board, story views went from like 2,000 to like 10,000, you know, and just Discord had like 50,000 people like last minute join. We sold out in like 13 minutes. It was absolutely freaking nuts. I barely even knew what an NFT was. I had no idea how it really works. I didn't even have none of my freaking crypto wallet set up. I had nothing set up, but I knew marketing. And I knew how to get people to want to build more desire, to want to buy something. And I know how to build a kind of a relationship with like a client or with the customer or with the person. And so launched that did well. And then they saw like kind of what we did and they're like, yo, you know, I think we can do this. I think we can launch an NFT. And so John comes to me. And at this point, I'm already kind of thinking, you know, hey, I want to launch my own NFT, you know, but next year. Like, let me do it next year. Okay. And so John comes to me. He's like, yo, we want to launch an NFT. You know, we'll do this and we can do that. And, you know, their kind of original vision was very small. It was very small. It was not like anything like that. They talked about that, yeah. Very small. And so he's like, you know, and you just do the marketing, Josh, and da-da-da-da-da. And he kind of just like threw me in like the plan. He's like, you just do this and you just that. And I'm like, yo, like, who said I'm going to do this?
You
like,
assumed the sell.
Yeah.
You just told him he was going to be part of it.
Big brother will come in.
You're like, dude, I got the guy. No, let me have this. I'll be in charge of this stuff.
Yeah, like, don't worry, Joey, I got it, man. I was like, I could do all the marketing myself.
He's like, bro, I know the strats, man. He's like, if it doesn't work, I'll just bring in Josh, man. He's got it.
I like it.
And so he came at me like that, and I was like, in my mind, I'm like, yo, I want to launch a project, you know, next year, and I want to run it up like 100 million. I want to make sure, you know, we do it right from the jump. And so, like, I don't want to, you know, spend my time on like a small project when I can kind of be game planning for the big project. Right. And so I was like, bro, I don't know, bro. Like, you know, I don't know if I can help you. Like, you know, like, it's just, I don't know if it makes sense for me. I was like, I'd rather have you, like, you know, help me on my project next year, and then, you know, we'll just blow it up. And he's like, yo, bro, but, you know, and this is how he told me. He's like, bro, it would make sense for, like, us to learn how to launch a project now, so that way when you do your project next year, like, we're not figuring it out for the first time. Right. Like, we have the experience, you know, we have the team, we understand, like, the Discord, like, we know.
We've made the mistakes.
Yeah, exactly. And so I was like, well, that makes fucking logical sense. So, all right, yo, I was like, put together a pitch deck. Because I'm not just going to, you know, my dad does, like, done this for me. Like, if I ever ask my dad to help me out, he's like, well, you got to put together a business plan. You know what I mean? And so.
Who is this dad I hear about? What's your dad's name? What does he do?
Eric Madrid, he's a doctor.
Okay.
He's a doctor. And so he's super business minded. He had a e-commerce business back in '97, so like the year before I was born.
Air purifiers.
Yeah, air purifiers. It was called Breathe Free, and it did like $7 million a year in sales with like e-commerce. But then the .com bubble burst, and fucking, you know, gone. Right? But so he kind of understood, like, you know, the whole concept of, like, you know, arbitrage, you know, buying low, selling high, kind of internet business, stuff like that. And so, like, he kind of was able to be like a mentor in the sense of not just from like the business perspective or like, you know, saying, hey, go do e-commerce or go do, you know, online stuff, but also like with the mindset and stuff, you know, because when you go through some like tough shit like that, like, you know, you build up a different type of mindset to be able to get back on your path. And so So I told my brother the same thing. You know, I'm like, yo, put together a business plan and you got to sell me. And if it makes sense, then I'm going to do it. And if I'm going to do it, I'm also going to have to, it's going to need to be worth my time. Like, you know, I'm going to have to be able to make enough money where, you know, I'm not just like, you know, wasting my time. And so he puts together this business plan and, you know, they bring it to me and I'm just like, I'm kind of like critiquing it a lot first. I'm like, yo, but this, I'm like, what about that? Or what about this? I'm like, no, this doesn't really make any sense. Or like, you know, I can't see this being like long. And I'm like, kind of like almost challenging them, I guess you could say, to make it more complex. More,
Shooting holes in the project.
Yeah, you know, because I'm just like, you know, like I don't want to put my name on this. This is only what it is.
Right.
Like, you know, it needs to be like a lot more structured, more professional. You need to think a lot more long term, like not just like 1 month or 1 week or et cetera. And so they kept like being like, okay, well, I guess we can do this. And we're on the whiteboards a lot. And eventually, like, it started making enough sense where I started getting excited about it. You know, once I'm excited about it, it's a whole different story. Because now it's not like me just doing the marketing, but I'm treating it like it's my project. You know, like I'm passionate about it, like it's mine. And so, yeah, I mean, it was at that moment, I think that's the question, right? You know, when I kind of see like the potential in it, it was when they, you know, kind of challenged them a little bit. They put it together, brought it to me, and I started to say, all right, you know, I think we can do this, you know? And the freaking
It was funny
shit.
too, because when we had came up with the baby doll challenge, to follow up on that, you know, I was like, yo, like, Joey, this would be really sick if we just had everybody go to the store and write hashtag Junior Punks on their forehead, right? And, you know, we're just, like, super stoked. We're like, yeah, you know, let's do it. And, like, we present it to, you know, because he has a partner as well. And we present it, you know, to everyone on the team. We're like, yo, what do you guys think about this? And they're like, I don't think it will work out. And we're like, all right, okay, yeah, we could just scratch it. We could just go, you know, like, you know, we could just do it just like any other, you know, NFT project. And then, you know, as we start going, we're like, no, we got to do this. We have to. We have to do it, you know, because we just knew, like, it would be different. It'd be so unique because there's no NFT projects out there that really make their community, you know, actually, like, come together by going out, you know, getting in their car, driving to the store.
Doing
you know,
something.
Exactly.
Action.
There's a lot of micro commitment levels, right? Micro commitments in each little. And so looking back, like in retrospect, because I was like, you know, at first I was like, I don't know if that's going to work. Like people might think that, you know, I'm too old for this or I'm too grown for this, you know, or that's kind of corny. And when I look back at it, I'm like, yo, it actually makes so much sense because it's not like too crazy where it's like, you know, hey, you know, if we can go jump off a cliff and you're on the whitelist.
Sure.
But it's just enough for somebody to say, you know, I can do that.
Why
you
not?
know? Yeah, you know, I could do that. It'd take me maybe like 20, 30 minutes. You know, it probably
Especially when everyone else does it. When everyone else starts doing it, that's when everyone's like, oh, I got to jump on. Like, you know, everyone's doing it. We're shouting everybody out in the chat, right? Like, that was a big thing. Yeah. So people, they want to get the shout out. You know what I mean? So, like, when they did it, we take the screenshot. We go right to the general chat. Yo, shout out at Youssef. Man, that's so crazy. You know, you really went above and beyond. Yeah, Youssef, he got a bunch of his boys. He's from New York. He got, like, a bunch of his boys onto the project. And he has a picture that, like, we posted on Instagram. It's like, just like, it's like, it's like 8 grown men, like just with baby bottle or not baby bottles, baby dolls, in Target, you know. So like that was basically like how the project was, you know.
So that was the first picture I saw. Built. That was the first picture I saw of Junior Punks.
Oh wow!
Okay. And I was like, "What is this? This is an NFT project." I'm like, "This is like a
Colt."
Yeah, that was nuts. I was like, "This is crazy. What is?" So it was enough. It was weird enough to make me curious, which you got to spurn in any kind of customer, right? If you're like cold calling someone. So I always tell my guys, as I said, they're like, he was mad at me on the door. I'm like, perfect. Either you want them asking you a question or angry at you, pick one, but you don't want them like passive or, oh, that's cool. Like, oh yeah, how you doing? I don't want them nice. I want them angry, really angry, or really questioning my intent. And a baby head, like, I was like, what? Like, that's enough to get a cold caller to look, which
triggers emotion.
Weird emotion.
I call it in psychology. There's a concept called the anchor bias, right? The anchoring bias, and essentially, our mind has like these different cognitive biases, and this is how we think, right? We make all decisions using these biases, right? Because there's only a certain amount of like data that we can process through our senses while we're inside the world. So a bias is kind of like a shortcut that our mind uses to be able to make better judgment, or what we think make better judgment with using less energy. And so to anchor something is to like pretty much put, to weigh something more. So for example, like the $50,000 package, when you say that first, you're anchoring that, and now everything else is based around like that perception, right? So if you were to say, well, we got a $75,000 package, it's now, $50,000 is the cheaper one, right? But if you're saying, okay, we got a $25,000 one, well, then $50,000 now is or it's $25,000 is the cheaper one, and $50,000 is like, they're not even worried about that because they're trying to get the deal. And so when a lot of people...
You can also use it for like self-growth, like I know the snapping and...
Yeah, that's like a whole different area. That's like NLP.
Did you hear that from my stuff? Or is that stuff you guys...
Yeah, stuff like that, neuromarketing.
I talk about snapping, pointing, head down, feet rubbing, clapping, pen snapping.
Yeah.
When you get an order, let's not go down that vein, right?
That's super advanced. But so essentially most people, they go for the baby sell, right? Hey, you want to buy this one thing, or hey, the price is this, and then now that's the starting point, that's the anchor. So like and even with like little things like basic negotiations, like if I want to pay, let's say, I'm willing to pay $1,000 for a shout out, like that's what I'm willing to pay. I'm gonna go hit the guy up first and be like, yo, give me a shout out for $200. You know what I mean? And knowing, in reality, he probably charges like 2,000, right? And so he's like, oh, I'll do it for like 1,500. Like, bro, I can do like 500, And so we kind of like now meet closer in the middle. So the whole point of kind of anchoring is people are gonna move. They're gonna move around what that perception is. And so with this project, Junior Punks with Angry Apes, it's, hey, are you buying 5 or less than 5? Which is, 4 or like 3. I'm not saying, hey, you're gonna get 1 or how many are you gonna get? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Right.
It's all around the number 5. And so now people, because that before it meant most people don't even know how much they want to mint yet.
Right.
They're not really thinking about that. They're just in the Discord. They're talking to the community. They know they want to mint 1 at least.
Right.
But they're not really thinking about a specific number. So now all of a sudden, when all the marketing is like, are you minting 5 or less than 5? 5 less than 5. It was so funny. I look in the group chat before launch, and everyone's like, yo, so we're gonna be able to launch or mint 5 out of pre-sale? Like, are we gonna be able to mint 5? And everybody was like hung up on the number 5 inside of the conversations because of that marketing, right? And so if I don't do that, then now all of a sudden everybody mints 1 or 2, and we only sell 2,000, right, instead of 5,555. And so it makes a massive difference because that average order value goes up.
Is that where 5555 came from?
No, that was just pretty random.
Yeah,
we were just like 5,555 because we didn't want, we saw like a lot of projects, selling 10,000, selling 9,999, selling 7,000, and we're like, okay, well, we feel like it would be smarter to have less supply, because the demand would be higher. And so essentially that's what we did. We sold, 5,555.
But there's what you just went over was exactly what we talk about. This is what I train my community on, which is when I say, hey, this is the solar system, or hey, this is the security system, or hey, this is the car, or hey, this is when I come in and, hey, how much is it for your masterclass, B.Holmes? It's $50,000. Oh, wow. What's the next package down? Well, if you want me to come out for a week and reanalyze your entire business, it's $25,000. Right. Oh, for sure. Okay, yeah, we'll do that. That's my top that's my top package anyway, right? But it's that idea of let me get that number, and then you go the one down low, and it's a deal, but that's the number they want but if I came out and popped off to $25,000, whoa, what's your next package? $10,000? Oh, we'll do that one, right? Right. So what you're just explaining is the subconscious focus on a deal. Right? Which is crazy. 100%. I'm an interim CFO right now in one of the companies, and so I'm revamping all of our AP, AR, accounts receivable. So I'm going through there's got to be some kind of financial plan or strategy that you had on how much you wanted to raise on the initial. Was there? What's my question? Because I'm very curious. Financial strategy backing the marketing. Was there any financial strategy on this is the numbers we want to go hit and why? Because what's the overhead on these projects?
Yeah,
man,
I'm not like it depends, bro. If you do a lot of giveaways like us,
Yeah, but
there's no
giveaways
product.
and marketing. Yeah, so we spent about 130 to 150K just pre-sale, like before the pre-sale, like we hadn't sold a single one. That was on giveaways, pages, all of that,
which is rare.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a little bit less honestly than most products are doing now. But then after the pre-sale started and we got revenue from the pre-sale, we just went straight into reinvesting to make sure the project sold out, right?
But you guys did it unique. Again, I'm very limited on my experience, but I've got 5 projects I dove into. Y'all were the only ones that invested it into more marketing, right? Talk about that concept, because that's not what anyone else did. Like, real quick for an example, I won't say the name, but it was around a platypus that a mutual guy we know was in that. And they did nothing after they had his name on there. They dropped it, and they haven't done any more marketing.
Yeah.
And they went and they adopted the animal, which is cool. But y'all went back and you doubled down and got more people to tweet and to get involved in the marketing in Instagram, or learned the Twitter, right? Or whatever you wanted to get back into. Yeah. You got more involved. Why?
Well, basically, I mean, if we hadn't done more marketing right after that, like, we would not have sold out, right? And so basically we were like, okay, like, we know we have one objective. Our objective is to sell out, because the entire community, everybody that's bought in, if this project doesn't sell out, they're going to lose a lot in their investment, right? You know, projects go down in value if they don't sell out, because they're like, okay, if people don't even want to mint this, you know, like, why should I even have it? And so our only objective was just sell out. Like, we do not care. We were like, for a little while, we were in a mindset where, like, it did not matter. It was like marketing. Like, we have, you know, like, we're throwing it in. We want to really make sure this product sells out, because that's what everyone in the community wanted, right? Like, that was the biggest focus. And so that was why we really doubled down like that.
Yeah, and like, on top of that, we believe in the project so much that we just want, like, no matter how much money we spend, we want it all to go back to the community. We want a lot of it to go back just straight into the community, straight into our utility, straight into making sure that the people who invested into, you know, us and the project we want everyone in this project to be like millionaires. Right. You know what I mean? Like Bored Ape, you know, we want everyone to just be successful, you know, just a big community of just ballers, you know, of everyone just from the start, everyone who was there from the beginning, who believed in us, who believed in the project, who believed in, you know, Josh, me, and Joey, and the team, you know, because everyone plays a big part, you know, in this project. It's not just us, but it's the team, and then it's the community, you know? And, you know, when you put both of these together, it's very crazy to see what you can come up with. And it's really, I guess, inspiring. Yeah, it's inspiring to see, you know, a lot of people come together to make something bigger than themselves. You know, it's like, this project is bigger than us, you know, but that's the point. You know, we're shooting for something that was totally, you know, that we're totally capable of doing, because obviously, you know, we're manifesting, and, you know, as we go along, certain things start, you know, coming into place, certain people start coming into our lives, you know, certain things just start to happen, and, you know, it all starts to come together. So it's a really big part of, you know, the community and the team and everyone coming together, and, you know, just us building like crazy, you know?
Yeah.
And I think too, one of the biggest things, like, with the marketing and, like, you know, throwing a lot of money back into the marketing, is it's all about omnipresence, right? It's about being everywhere at all times, like, you know, being able to kind of duplicate yourself, duplicate your business, duplicate your project into multiple areas all around the world at the simultaneous time, right? Instead of just being in kind of one place. And so it makes sense to get as many eyeballs as possible, as much attention as possible, to be able to, number one, increase the demand for the project, but number two, to also be able to show the people who are already kind of invested in the project from pre-sale, like, okay, these guys are all in, you know, they're balls to the wall, and they're still bringing in new eyeballs. So this thing is obviously more people are going to be interested, because, like, they're still going hard. They're not just kind of like, you know, letting off the gas. If anything, they're going even harder. They're doubling down. They're tripling down. And also, too, really listening a lot to the community. So, for example, like, you know, our expertise wasn't necessarily Twitter, right? That wasn't really our expertise. But the community is like, yo, Twitter. And for me, you know, I'm an expert in, you know, Instagram, the chatbots, kind of the whole crazy back-end strategy, text messages. Like, that's where I know, like, I could put $1 in and get like $10 out. I could put $1 in, I get $12 out in terms of generating a return. But when the community has something that they believe in, for us, it was like, all right, let's do it, even though, you know, we're not maybe completely certain that it maybe get us the same return as like Instagram, in terms of like putting $1 in and getting like 10 and 12 out. But what I am certain of is the fact that the community will be like, yo, they listen to us. Right. The community will be like, well, okay, you know, they listen to our advice, and they're, you know, they want to work together in harmony, in collaboration, versus, you know, more of like a narcissistic, oh, we know everything, you know, don't tell us this, you know, da-da-da-da. And so that was a really important aspect for us, because it builds, you know, trust with community, and it builds a relationship with community. And so that was another reason why, you know, we were willing to spend the money into certain places like that.
And faith, right, from a community member. It was fascinating. I was talking to Chaz, and I was saying, I've got a couple people asking me, how's your project doing? And I'm like, It's not my project.
Yeah.
But the way that you guys have formatted it is that you've got people so bought in because you care what we have to say that I feel like it's my project.
Yeah.
Right?
As you should.
Which, right.
That's what we
Sort
always
of.
say. It's
Right?
your
It's
guys'
what you
project.
want. It's what I want.
Yeah.
But that's not normal. That's a skill that you guys have actually done really, really well.
Thank you.
No other projects have done. So shout out to you. That's where you can get a lot of buy-in, very cheap, by giving people ownership or a title or a rank, right? And it's free.
Thank you for listening to the Doors to Success podcast. Tune in next week for the final part with the Junior Punks.